The story of Revelations 2 is pretty simple to understand at first, in the first two episodes, but around episode 3 and 4, the story requires a bit knowledge of Resident Evil 5, and Revelation 1, of course. But that won't hold you back from the personal story of Claire and Barry. If you're wondering if Revelations 2 is a follow up from Revelations 1, then the answer is no and a little yes. Revelations 1 takes place between Resident Evil 4 and 5. Revelations 2 takes place between 5 and 6. The Revelation series shows you what has been happening between those two time periods, between those two different games. The story is about the fan favorite Clara Redfield and Barry Burden making a return. Since Resident Evil 5, the story is once again getting personal, which I like. It gives the story a more purpose of sitting back and enjoying it than always having factions fighting over each other, much like in Resident Evil Revelations 1. The story of Claire Redfield is pretty much a long forgotten enemy hunts her one last time in acts of revenge. The game starts off at a party of TerraSave residents, and Claire is pretty much the head honcho there. There with her is Moira Burton. Excuse me. Moira Burton, Barry's hot daughter. But only soon after they greet each other, shit hits the fan. And from there, it's pretty much how did this happen and why. And let's survive and find out who did this. As for Barry, his story is somewhat different. He's trying to figure out what happened to Moira, his daughter, and trying to save her, but to only find a mysterious little girl on the way there, named Natalia. Natalia is some strange, weird girl that doesn't really give a whole much backstory about, but she's somewhat how it plays into the story for the time ahead. Then, only to find out, Barry gets himself into even more stuff. He gets himself into all the stuff that he didn't want to. The only thing I have to say I didn't like about the story is how it felt like it could have been a whole lot more emotional and more deep. I feel like they could have almost achieved a masterpiece in the story. But one thing I know, it's better than Resident Evil 6 story. I am happy that Claire and Barry are back in the series in what it seems like forever. Even though the original actor of Claire Redfield is gone now, the new one did pretty good, I have to say. But let's not forget about the new models of our characters. Barry looks pretty good since Resident Evil 1, and Clara. Clara is so, yeah, thick that. For Barry is pretty cool as well. Moira is pretty awesome. She can say some of the most funniest things at times, though, if you listen. She also has a nice, yeah, I'm not gonna say it. As for Natalia, she's pretty brave. For what some reason they didn't even tell you how old she is, which is kind of weird. In terms of gameplay was pretty fun, I have to say. I just love the animations of how you run around. It just feels so Resident Evil Revelations ish. It feels really good how you run around and stuff. Um, as for the animations of Claire and the animations of Moria and the rest of the cast. One thing I have noticed though about the gameplay is that they have they have used some of the stuff from Resident Evil 6 and a little bit of Resident Evil 5. Like I noticed how when you jump off a ladder and hit the ground, it's the same animation for like Resident Evil 6. Or the same way how the females run in Resident Evil 6 with a gun. It's the same way how they run in Revelations 2 with a gun. The females, that is. Um, but the gameplay is pretty cool. The way you held the gun is great. The animation is great, and also I just like how they put in a stealth system. I thought that was really cool because no Resident Evil game had ever had a stealth system that I heard of at least. Um, I just like the fact that you can crouch now in the game, which makes the game so much more good. I mean, you don't know how many parts I could have passed on old Resident Evil games that would have had a crouch system in it. I just love the fact that you can crouch now and then, aim your weapon now. It makes the game feel more immersive, more, just more better, at it. It's just another feature you can look forward to in the crouching and stuff. Which crouching actually makes your your gun stands still when you're using a sniper rifle. So that's pretty good. And another thing I forgot to mention that you can also now sprint in the game, which is really cool. So that's because in Resident Evil 4 and 5, or any Resident Evil for that is, you didn't never had a crouch except Resident Evil 6. Or not crouch, sprint. In Resident Evil 6, sprinting was totally new, so you can now run. I think in Resident Evil 6 though you can run forever, but now in here they kind of toned it down a bit to make it feel more, survival like. And I just love the fact that they got sprint and crouch in this game. It just makes it so much better. In terms for graphics, the graphics in this game they're pretty good. They have upgraded since Resident Evil Revelations 1. In Revelations 1, nobody didn't really too much like. Well, it was kind of mixed match opinions about how Claire's face looked. I mean, Claire, she looked at cutish, okay in Revelations 1. She just looked. I thought her face was a bit too square looking, but I felt like they could have did a better model in Revelations 1 with Jill. But as for Revelations 2, the graphics is a lot better. A lot of people are saying that they did use the same model as as Jill for Claire, which may be true in a way. Even though people are saying that Claire looks like Tobey Maguire, but or not really. But Claire is Claire's pretty cute though. But the graphics are pretty good. Even though I did notice something. I did notice a few things that look kind of bad in terms of the graphics, though. But other than that, the graphics they're okay.
Wow, these graphics of these trees look terrible. Look at that. That straight up looks like a freaking pixel picture. Look at that. You can see right through it that they clearly attached that on. You can see right through that. Look at that. That's terrible.
So as for the enemies are one of the most, like I said before in my last review, enemies are one of the most important things in games because they really make the difference of what you're going up against and what you're really challenging. The enemies in this game, you normally come across some like inflicted, I believe they're called. They're like crazy people. Because I mean, what this game really reminds me of is it reminds me of like Resident Evil 5 and like Resident Evil 6. Because the reason why I say that because the crazy guys who run around does like these little Roman Reigns type Superman punches. They really remind me of the villagers in like Resident Evil 4 and 5. While you play as in Barry campaign, you come across some like zombie type creatures, which kind of remind me of the Leon campaign and Ada campaign, which had more easier going. So you have pretty much the crazy guys who run around with the bats, and you got the zombie type creatures. Then for the bosses, they're damn it, dog. For the bosses, they're pretty much they're kind of weird. The bosses are pretty much like a mix of Resident Evil 5, I'd say, because the whole like slimy worm type enemies. So the enemies in the game, they're pretty cool. They're all right. They're at least really better than Revelations 1. That is because Revelations 1, the enemies got kind of repetitive, I have to say. Artificial intelligence. Wow. This is where it kind of disappoints me because sometimes, well, mostly all the time, but I'm just going to tell you anyway, but the AI in this game is really bad. It's really dumb. Half of the time when you're playing, not split screen, when you're playing single player, and you tell your character to go up, she won't go up or he won't go up. Tell them to wait, they won't wait. And they'll sometimes just like I play as Mora to do to break off a panel for Clara because you got to switch. And Clara won't really even shoot the enemies that's coming. I thought that was kind of weird because I felt like that was a dumb part of the AI because I feel like you're playing two characters in one game and one single player, which is kind of weird because I feel like that they should have at least made the AI a bit smarter. And the enemy AI is really just bad. I mean, like sometimes you will walk right by them and they won't even notice you. You can stand right in front of them. Sometimes they won't even notice you. So the AI in this game is kind of like it's like bad. I mean, enemies turn around exactly right when you're about to kill them. It's just the AI is not so great.
Okay, look at this, guys. Watch this. This is the stupidest part. This is dumb. This is what you call poorly level designed and everything. Okay, look. I'm going up here, right? I have to go up here to get, what's her name? Natalia, to get up this ladder, right? Just shows her feet right here, okay? It shows her feet. So obviously that's a boost, right? Yeah, I can get a boost. Look, Barry's tall enough to push up there, right? Well, no, there's no option for a boost. What I have to do is I have to go up here. I have to get on this fucking ladder. It took me like, I've been on this part for like, what? 30 minutes, because this is so poorly level designed. So I have to get up here, get on this fucking rail, right? Get on this rail, takes him across there, just for me to go right here and do this. And bugs come out. So that is fucking great job. That is a great job level design, you guys. Give yourself a round of fucking applause. That was so stupid. Wow.
In terms for horror, in the back of this game it says a return to survival horror. I feel like that people are just taking that, game developers actually, I feel like game developers are taking that name and just running with it and just slapping it on any game, because you can't just make a game have high hit points on your character and have you lose health a lot and have you find less bullets and just call it survival horror. You have to do more than that. It has to feel like survival horror. It has to have the atmosphere as survival horror. But the atmosphere, the whole, well, actually, the horror, it's not necessarily scary. So there was one time that I actually jumped, but that was just a startle jump. I wasn't really scared. But this game's not really scary, I have to say. That's kind of a disappointment. But that's what I expected. As for the atmosphere, it could have been a whole lot more better. The atmosphere is it's not like the Evil Within atmosphere. It's the Evil Within atmosphere is amazing, but for this game, it felt very rushed, or felt very, okay, you're only going to come through here once, or barely going to do anything kind of rush. So it was very basic looking. I mean, it was okay, but it could have done a whole lot better. The atmosphere was just, it wasn't really up to par in terms of scary, because I feel like the whole blood on the wall is very overused. The whole blood on the gurney is very overused. That we've seen it so many times where it's not even scary anymore. But it's, eh. As for the crafting system, I forgot to mention about the crafting system. They implemented a crafting system which made the game really actually more better and more immersive, where you can find an empty bottle, and you can find empty bottles, and you can find gunpowder and like some kind of smoke, and pretty much you can make smoke bombs, fire bombs, which are pretty much just explosions, and like little molotovs. Or you can make like like I said, smoke bomb will pretty much make you, distract the enemy where he can't see, and go up behind them and you can sneak kill him. Then you can make like little bandages. Sadly, they don't have first aid spray. I mean, in this game, which is weird because it's like a Resident Evil signature right there. They have like little bandages that you can make with alcohol, pretty much allow you to make like a quick healer, or you can just take like a regular herb. And they do have red herbs in this game. I have not seen any any yellow herbs or blue herbs. There's only red and green. But the crafting system is really cool in this game. Raid mode. Oh my god. I think this is what a lot of people bought the game for, because raid mode is just so, it's addicting. It's so addicted at points where I had to stop playing it because I felt like I was getting bored of it. That's how. It's really great. I mean, the raid mode is it's kind of different from Revelations 1. In Revelations 1, you had a start menu, and then you can choose someone game you want to go in, then you choose their game, and then pretty much after that, you could. But actually, before you start, you can choose what mission or what map you want to go on, and then you'll go and start the raid mode, go to the store or whatever. On here, as for the raid mode online, that is, it's very it's kind of weird when you think about it. The raid mode on here, you just go to quick start. I mean, you just go to quick match, and you just join in a random person's lobby. I mean, a random person lobby in a random map. So you don't know if this is going to be a hard lobby or easy lobby or whatever. So it's really different. I don't know if it's well balanced yet, but as fun as see, I feel like it could be a whole lot better. But it's other than that, Rainbow is really fun. You can level up. Each character this time around has can go up to level 100 rather than 50 like in Revelation 1. And each there are a total like I believe about somewhat between I think like 10 characters I believe, and each character has its own level up and own stats and stuff. So that's really cool. It has lots of replay value. Other like in Revelations 1, all characters were on the same level, no matter who you pick. This time, they're all on separate levels. One could be on 7, one could be on 50, one could be on 8, one could be on 100, and on like that. And I think that adds a lot of replay value. But the raid mode is really addicting. I mean, it has tons and tons and tons of replay value, and I think that's where this game shines the most if you're really looking for something that's having a good time. One thing I forgot to mention in raid mode is that in raid mode, you have, other like last time, you had like in Revelations 1, it was pretty much doing all the missions, all different missions on the same map. It was a lot of maps that reused, so it got boring kind of quick. Which it still was fun, but it got boring because you were seeing the same. You was on a ship, like every single map. There's barely different any variety. This time around, in Revelations 2, they have more maps. They took maps from Resident Evil 6 in Revelations, and they took them. And it's really great. Like the graveyard from Revelations. They have the casino from Revelations 1. I mean the graveyard from Resident Evil 6. Excuse me. And then they have the little like meeting room for Resident Evil 6. And some people didn't really like it, but I thought it was I thought it was pretty cool. You know, to kind of show you, you know, what it felt like to be in that Resident Evil 6 atmosphere. And I thought it was really cool, and how they put enemies from Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil, from Revelations 2 and put it in here. And so that made it really great. That made it really fun because you were facing like the little slob thing from Revelations 1, and you're facing the executioner from Resident Evil 5. I thought that was really great for them, and that added even more replay value. In terms of story length, the game took me exactly 11 hours to beat. I think that's right around where I beat Revelations 1. This time around, this game only has 4 episodes. And Revelations 1, it had like, I believe, 12 episodes, I believe. And that was a lot of episodes. And so, the episodes in Revelations 1, I think, added out from anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. And this time, each episode's like an hour and 20 minutes hour and 30 minutes to 2 hours, which is really long. So clocking me out at 11 hours, which is a pretty decent, above average story. So story is pretty decent long, not too long, not too short. It's actually pretty great. All in all, I had a really great time with this game. I mean, this game's really fun. You know, even though it has somewhat flaws, but you can really overlook those flaws with just ignore. I mean, the flaws in this game they were not too bad. I mean, not like other Resident Evil games. But this time around, the story, I feel like the story could have been a bit more better and more deeper and more interesting, and more personal, very more personal. But it was really great. It was better than Revelations 1 story. The story to that was okay, but it was just a lot of factions fighting over each other. But this time around, the story was more personal. It made it more interesting. And yeah, it's a really good game. I like the fact that you can customize your character in raid mode now. I like that it has a stealth system now. I like that it has a upgrade system now, and like the whole crafting system. It just makes the game really worth the money. It really worth the money now. And all this for $40, that's a steal deal. I mean, I paid like $6 for this game, and it was worth every penny. This game is even worth $60. I have to say, if the game was $60, it's still worth it. And making it $40 is even worth it even more. Oh man. So I would say this game is a really great game. You should pick it up. I give the game a 9 out of 10. The reason why I'm knocking off 1 point is because that I feel like that I kind of got the story could have been more, felt more better, felt more like into it. I feel like that at moments I didn't know if it was really personal or I didn't know if I should care at this moment. It felt off at times, but otherwise I just gave him a 9 out of 10. And yeah, that's my review, guys, and thanks for watching. Now, once again, I forgot to say that the game also offers you 2 bonus missions, which is called the Struggle and the little something I forgot. Which the Struggle is pretty much shows you what happens at the Moira in a certain part of the game. I won't spoil it. Um, it that mission pretty much tells you what happens after that moment in the game. And as for the little, this shows you. It actually shows you how Natalia, what Natalia was doing before Barry came up on the island, and that made a whole lot of sense of that right there.
Gosh, you little bitch! I'm supposed to win this game of tug of war! But there's still plenty of time to get under your skin.
And next time, you will see.